Welcome back to the Nurses Investing for Wealth mini-series podcast. This is where I'm sharing with you the big picture look you need to be able to turn your nursing salary into work optional freedom once and for all. In previous episodes, we've been talking about why increasing nursing salaries, despite being justified on the grounds of comparable worth, is not a solution to the nursing exodus. I know it's upsetting, but it's just not. If you missed that, go back and get caught up. I explain why. Because in this episode, you'll want to be caught up. I'm building on this idea as I discuss the real dilemma that we as nurses and advanced practice nurses face. And this dilemma is that we are working inside burnout roles. Last episode, Maureen, a former student of mine, shared exactly how she quantum leaped from career misery to a life full of financial clarity, confidence, space, and ease. And it didn't mean taking a higher paying job, retraining, changing careers, or being stuck in her current burnout job. The opposite. She was able to completely quit being a nurse practitioner while she took the time and space she needed to decide when and if she'd go back. And that brings me to this idea that I've heard all my life. People say that nursing is a reliable career that guarantees financial stability. But I've just proven that's wrong because even though there's no shortage of job vacancies, nursing work itself is not sustainable. I cannot count the number of times I've thought, and my clients have expressed to me, I cannot see myself doing this for another 10 years, let alone into my 60s. The truth is that our working conditions lead to burnout, and it's this burnout that leads to the nursing exodus. What this means for most nurses and advanced practice nurses is that you will not stay in your career until 65 years old, or whatever traditional retirement age ends up being when you get there. And because the nursing system is set up as if it's a sustainable 40-year career, if you aren't capable of working that long, then you may find yourself at a financial dead end. And I get that that's scary. Let's review the evidence on this because I am not making this stuff up. Many nurses are not making it to traditional retirement age. In 2018, researchers analyzed the responses of more than 253,000 registered nurses from almost 15,000 units and found that retirement and intent to leave is very high across job locations, including ambulatory care. Yes, ambulatory care, the mecca of better work-life balance. Even of those, many nurses are planning to leave. Intent to retire early and leave is the highest in nurses younger than 30 and between 50 and 64 years old. If you're not in one of those groups, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel like you're planning to leave. It just means that you're not in a group that it's highest. Intent to leave direct patient care in other age groups was also very high. Among Canadian nurses, hello Canadian nurses, I'm here for you too. The average retirement age in 2019 was 58 years old, so well below the traditional retirement age. In the National Nursing Workforce Survey released in 2020, more than 1 out of every 5 nurses currently working in the U.S. reported plans to either leave the field or retire within 5 years. 1 out of every 5. Think about that. In 2022, that number increased to 1 in 4 nurses planning to leave. So if you thought 1 in 5 was high, imagine it being 1 in 4. Now, maybe it's a little bit lower now. Some early data is coming out saying less nurses are planning to leave. It's still high, okay? That's the takeaway message. Intent to leave nursing hasn't changed when compared pre and post pandemic. That's the other takeaway message. There's not really been much movement here. The reason nurses give for leaving the profession before traditional retirement age are really clear. Nursing is a hard job with a lot of stress, making it difficult to sustain. And I'm talking about all nursing, all nurses, nurse practitioners, CRNAs, nurses at the bedside, nurses in nursing home. I'm talking about all nurses. All nurses are having a hard time. Of nurses who left their jobs in 2018 pre-pandemic, 30% said they did it because of burnout. So 1 in 3 who left was burnt out. Not a surprise. Data from June 2023 out of Greece indicates that burnout and job dissatisfaction among nurses is higher now as the pandemic winds down. Also, that nurses are more likely to experience burnout than other healthcare providers. Okay, so wrap your head around this. In the U.S., there are more than 5 million nurses. Somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million of those are not working in the field. The American healthcare system is down about 1 million nurses. There's about 1 million nurse shortage. And many people blame the pandemic for this, but what you've just heard is that nursing burnout is driving the nursing exodus. Maureen's story from the last episode is just one of the hundreds of thousands that exemplify this. And there's a good chance that you might be one of these nurses. And if you are, I'm glad you're here. Here's the truth. Both burnout and the exodus existed before the pandemic, and they still exist. People have been talking about the most important challenges in the American healthcare system for decades, specifically disorganization as a function of our decentralized private system, dissatisfaction among the workforce, a general shortage of staff, social issues leading to distrust of the healthcare industry, increase in workplace violence against healthcare workers, the pace of change and the difficulty for systems to integrate new technology, rising costs, administrative waste, and failures for patients. All of these things are the challenges in the American healthcare system that are not new. None of them are new. And researchers have been studying these same dynamics for years. I've probably made my point. This is the reality that we as nurses face. Our career isn't sustainable across a lifetime, and we need solutions that take this into consideration. In the last couple episodes, we unpacked a couple really important points. One, we talked about why increasing nurse salaries, although justified, yes, you do deserve it. I totally have your back on that. But increasing salaries isn't going to solve the problem of nursing burnout or the nursing exodus. And two, self-care isn't the solution either. So what is? What actually works to achieve career stability through nursing is the opposite of what you might expect. Developing the financial savvy to be able to leave your job when you need to. Yeah, quit. Developing enough financial resources to be able to quit. Here's what this looks like in a nutshell. Setting up an enduring money plan that will, 1, give you work optional freedom ASAP so you can work part-time or not at all if you want or need to. 2, allow you to take risks in your career by changing your job and or setting firm boundaries. 3, set up your early retirement scheme by learning how to save and invest independently of your employer, doing it on your own, being in full control of your money. So let me just repeat these 3 points, these 3 things that you can do to set up your financial strategy. An enduring money plan. 1, it should give you work optional freedom as soon as possible so you can work part-time or not at all if you need or want to. 2, allow you to take risks in your career by changing your job and setting firm boundaries. And 3, set up your early retirement scheme by learning how to save and invest independently of any employer. This works because creative financial strategy gives nurses control over burnout-inducing job environments, and it protects them from financial instability if or when they need to leave their job. Coming to terms with the fact that you're inside an unsustainable career means that you free up energy to find other options to financially provide for yourself and your family. And when you have the financial savvy to figure out how much money you need, where to save it and invest it, how to make sure you set enough aside, then you'll always be in control of your career and your financial destiny. This might sound a little cynical, me telling you to be ready to be financially prepared to quit, but that's not exactly what I mean. And I want to take a look at firefighters to illustrate this point. In the 1950s and 60s, firefighters were facing a problem of working in a dangerous, high-stress, high-burnout career. Sound familiar? Firefighters were leaving their careers early and even dying as a result of their work. Surviving for 40 years in frontline firefighting work wasn't happening, so firefighters fought for change. They unionized. They went out. They protested. And in the latter half of the 20th century, they started winning. The changes created new career options for firefighters, including early retirement benefits kicking in after 20 to 25 years, an option to work part-time and draw a partial pension, and transition to non-frontline positions to balance out the stress of the job. In some places, firefighters even negotiated for career counseling to transition into other fields as a standard job benefit. These schemes are still common and popular among firefighters today, and now they're key tools for recruitment and retention. Nurses have similar job-related problems, but we lack the safety nets of firefighters. Working for 40 years in nursing is like firefighting was 75 years ago, unsustainable, and for many, it's just not happening. When financial and career safety nets are not available to use as a nurse, it's natural to feel like your career is unreliable and unsustainable. And that's exactly why creative financial strategy is an essential element for easing burnout and slowing the nursing exodus, just as firefighters' new career options helped solve their problem. That's a big part of why I decided to start sharing my personal money strategy with my nursing colleagues. As a new grad 20 years ago, I could see that this career was going to be exhausting. I set up my money system to pay off my $200,000 in debt, invest, travel around the world, buy my home in cash, cars in cash, and eventually step away from nursing at 35 years old to heal extreme burnout. I hoped like heck that my system would work. There was no roadmap for me to follow. I was frustrated by how traditional financial advice didn't match my needs as a nurse, and I always felt dumb and dopey working with financial professionals. So I built my own, and I learned everything I needed to know. The great news is that my system did work, but not without expensive mistakes. The worst was losing out on $300,000 from working with my financial advisor, who I was considering trustworthy, and who was trustworthy. They did everything right. That's just the way the system's built, to charge you money to manage your money. But despite that huge mistake, despite many other smaller mistakes, my system did work. Now my investment returns pay me more each year than my nursing salary ever did. Nurses deserve to have the same safety net. You deserve it. And that's why I started sharing my system. Yeah, but it's wrong to compare nursing to firefighting. It doesn't carry the same level of risk. Nurses should be capable of working full-time in their careers for 40 years. That's what people will say. And I will say, you're right. Nurses are not running into actual burning down houses. And I'm not a fan of playing the game of who has it the worst, because it makes sense to me that everyone deserves to have a safe working environment. But I will share a few statistics here to demonstrate just how serious the problem is for nurses. The CDC reported 207 deaths in the healthcare setting in the years between 2016 to 2020. Firefighter deaths during those same years was 303. It is true that firefighters continue to die more often and their job remains risky. They deserve to be looked after. And so do nurses. 13 nurses out of every 100 are physically assaulted. And 39 out of every 100 are subject to non-physical violent threats. 80% of nurses don't feel safe at work. 82% of ED nurses had been physically assaulted at work in just 1 year. And 25% of psychiatric nurses experienced disabling injuries from patient assaults. In my own career as a nurse who's worked in med-surg, tele, emergency department, family practice, I've worked in lots of different roles. In my own career, I have worked in a location that's been held up by gunpoint. I've been sexually assaulted. I've been kicked, hit, spat on, scratched, and even followed home once by a disgruntled patient. I've had needle stick injuries, putting me at risk for HIV and hepatitis. The point is, our job is risky, and if you're a nurse, you already know this. It's true that nursing is not firefighting. It's also not the military or police, two other careers that have inbuilt early retirement options. But you know what else nursing is not? It's not a profession where the majority of the positions have been historically held by white men. Nursing is risky. The data shows it. Nurses need safety nets. If the system isn't going to provide them, then the answer is simple for you. You'll have to establish your own. And now you can. The first step is to broaden how you think about money. Accept that it's not just about wages. Ask yourself, how do you prepare financially for the likelihood that your job is going to burn you out? That you aren't going to be able to do this for the next 10 years. When people ask me what nurses need in the midst of a nursing exodus, I answer, we need financial literacy and financial behaviors that match our reality. Financial literacy means possessing the financial knowledge, behaviors, systems, team, and plan to confidently take effective action that best fulfills an individual's personal, family, and global community goals. That is a bunch of word salad. But for nurses, because we exist in an environment where our jobs are unstable and our career length is most likely going to be way shorter than 40 years, financial literacy is very important, and getting all of these pieces put together is how you do it. But we have another problem, and that is that our financial situation is particularly complicated. Shift differentials, not guaranteed work, unpaid time off, all these kinds of things. We are looked up to as the responsible ones in our families and our communities. We pay our bills. We support our families, parents, children, extended relatives. We want to create generational wealth and leave money behind. A lot of us give money to charity. Many of us are single parents, and most of us start our careers with student loans or other debt. You may look at nursing as I did, like a way to break the poverty cycle in my family. Due to the nature of our jobs, we also need to plan for the worst. I talk about this more in the last 2 episodes, but briefly, we need to have enough money in the bank to cover expenses if we need to leave our job suddenly. We need to have enough to plan for extended time away from work, to drop hours for short and long periods of time. We need to have enough to plan for early retirement, like police and firefighters and members of the military, except we have to provide our own benefits, health insurance, pensions, and supports. In order to survive nursing and exist healthily in the middle of a nursing exodus, we need to adopt a money system that takes all of this into account. I know it's a lot, but the good news is it's totally doable. And here's the great news. If you're a nurse who makes a nursing salary, you make enough to achieve all of these things if you manage your finances intentionally. All of these skills are well within your capabilities. I can say that confidently because you graduated nursing school, so I already know you have what it takes. It's not your fault if you don't know how yet, because these are skills you don't learn in nursing schools, but you can learn them. So before I go today, let me sum up this episode. I'll try in 1 minute. Here I go. So in the midst of a modern nursing exodus, the discussion around money is important. Nurses are right to push for higher wages, and employers are right to give them to us. But just as important is the issue of how nurses can manage those wages in order to plan for the realities that our job presents us with. Most of us won't be able to work full-time in nursing for another 10 years, and definitely not until we're 65 or 68 or whatever retirement age is, at least not healthily and sustainably. Unlike other high burnout roles, nurses are not extended a safety net that supports them in early retirement, so we have to be extra careful with our money and do it ourselves. Learning about finances and, maybe more importantly, implementing a set of strategic behaviors that lets us get more power out of our nursing salaries is essential. It's why I started Nurses Investing for Wealth and why I believe that for nurses, financial independence is more than just a lifestyle goal. It's essential for our survival. If you can relate to this feeling and you want to feel supported in a community of nurses who get it, and have access to a database of knowledge and tools that make it easy for you to set your money strategy without the math, then head over to learn.nursesinvesting.com. Put in your email and you'll get immediate access to my free 2-hour training and my very best offer of help. Here's your chance to get started this week. You'll learn exactly how to live off of your investments with money to spare. And you'll see how to outshine those workplace retirement plans like 401ks and 403bs. Or if you're like me, maybe your employer just changed the name of your 403b to tax sheltered annuity. Doesn't matter. Whatever your account is called, you're going to learn how to get more from it. I'll also tell you how to get 12 continuing nurse education credits and how to get your employer to pay you while you do this work. It's the best employment hack I've ever created, a financial independence course that your employer pays for and that sets you up to be able to quit when you need to. Click the link below in the notes or type in learn.nursesinvesting.com into your internet browser to get started setting up your financial independence plan. Tune into the next episode. It's a dramatic one. And it's about toxic nursing culture, specifically how to disrupt a death spiral. I'll see you there or in the free training, maybe both. I'm glad you're here. Together, we're turning one nurse's financial independence into another nurse's power. See you next time.